What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk Celtics. Let's talk NBA chaos. Let's talk about how one of the wildest offseason stories just dropped out of nowhere, and why it should have nothing to do with Boston, but actually might say a whole lot about where this franchise is headed under new ownership. We've officially hit that weird part of the offseason where we're all just clinging to scraps of news and speculation, counting down the days until training camp opens. But every now and then, something hits the timeline that completely hijacks the conversation. And this week, it's got Steve Ballmer's fingerprints all over it. So here we are. It's September 3rd, meaning we're officially creeping up on the point in the NBA calendar where real things start happening again. Roster spots, preseason buzz, media day energy. And for the Boston Celtics, the roster is almost set. Almost. There's still that final spot, and everyone's asking, are they really done? Or is Brad Stevens just waiting to strike at the right moment? And look, the answer is yes, they're probably not finished. But the big question is when. When's the next domino going to fall? We'll get into that. But before we even talk Celtics moves, we've got to rewind and talk about what just blew up the Clippers front office and what lessons Boston's new ownership better be learning right now. Now, credit where it's due. This madness came from a podcast. Not even a Celtics-focused one, but it's just too juicy not to unpack. And trust me, the implications for Boston are real. So let's set the scene. Ownership changes. Boston has new ownership in place. Bill Chisholm is the face of the group, backed by a whole lot of institutional money, including a banking giant. They spent billions to buy into the Celtics. And like any new owner, Chisholm is going to want to leave his mark. That's just how this works. You don't spend $7 billion and sit quietly in the luxury box. You shake things up. And guess what? We've already seen it start. The Celtics have made aggressive roster changes. Trading Drew Holiday, parting ways with Kristaps Porzingis. These are not subtle moves. These are cap-focused, tax-reducing, statement-making decisions. The team is slashing costs and reshaping the long-term picture. Last season, they were looking at a $500 million luxury tax bill. Now, they're reportedly under $220 million. That's a staggering drop. And yes, it makes sense. If you just spent billions to acquire the team, you probably don't want to be lighting $500 million on fire in luxury tax penalties, especially if you didn't make it past the second round. From a business standpoint, sure. From a fan standpoint, mixed feelings. But here's where things get interesting. The new ownership group isn't just cutting costs. They're also reportedly looking at moving the Celtics to a new arena. Right now, the TD Garden isn't owned by the Celtics. The Bruins have the stake there. That limits how much the Celtics can earn from the building. So naturally, the idea is, let's get our own house. A stadium that's fan-friendly, revenue-driven, and fully under Celtics control. Again, makes sense. We've seen this movie before. In fact, let's talk about the owners who've already made this playbook a reality. Because we've got recent examples across the league. Some good, some completely insane. Let's start with Mark Cuban in Dallas. Loud, theatrical, always front and center. Cuban was all about splash moves and dramatic statements. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it flamed out. Then you've got Matt Ishbia in Phoenix. That guy came in like a tornado. Traded every draft pick he could find for Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant, went all in on a win-now strategy, and ended up with a team that barely moved the needle. Now, they're stuck with a stripped-down roster and no clear path forward. Beal's gone. KD's gone. What's left? A few scorers, no first-round picks, and a whole lot of regrets. Then there's Steve Ballmer. And until about 5 minutes ago, if you'd asked me who I wanted Bill Chisholm to model himself after, I'd have said Ballmer, without hesitation. The guy's a billionaire basketball maniac. He's at every game, screaming courtside like it's a college rivalry. He's not afraid to spend. He built a brand new stadium for the Clippers, finally giving them their own identity outside of the Lakers' shadow. And not just any stadium, a fan-first stadium. Built with features like the wall, where fans stand all game like it's a European soccer match. He flies fans to road games, keeps ticket prices reasonable, supports his team loudly, but lets his basketball people handle the actual basketball. In short, a dream owner. But then this week happened. News broke that Kawhi Leonard allegedly signed a $28 million no-show endorsement deal with a shady tree planting company, secretly bankrolled by $50 million from none other than Steve Ballmer. Why? To circumvent the salary cap. Yep, that's what we're doing now. Hide money in fake companies, send it to your star players off the books, and hope no one notices. Spoiler, they noticed. And this is not small potatoes. This isn't some league minimum side hustle. This is full-blown cap circumvention. The kind of thing that, if proven true, could cost the Clippers multiple first-round picks, on top of the ones they already traded away for Paul George, which, by the way, is another disaster of its own. They got swaps with Oklahoma City that stretch out for years. According to the reports, they basically have one first-round pick of their own over the next 5 years. One. That's it. And now, if Adam Silver comes down hard, and he will, they could be losing picks from 2030 and beyond. Just to add salt to the wound, it's not like this maneuver worked. The Clippers didn't win a title. They didn't even make a serious run. They got bounced, and now the roster is in flux, the ownership is under investigation, and the future is murky at best. So why are we talking about this on a Celtics channel? Because this is exactly the cautionary tale Chisholm and company need to pay attention to. You want an owner who invests, who cares, who wants to win. But you don't want an owner who thinks money and power are the only tools that matter. Because the league will always push back. Always. It happened with Minnesota and Joe Smith back in the day. The Wolves got caught trying to stash money under the table and lost 5 first-round picks. Joe Smith's contract was voided. The team got hammered. This is that, but bigger. So if you're Chisholm, or a Celtics fan wondering what comes next, you want the Steve Ballmer who builds arenas and empowers his front office. Not the Steve Ballmer who's writing shadow checks to fake companies. Let Brad Stevens cook. Let the basketball minds do their job. And when the moment comes to spend. Build the team. Support the stars. Add that final piece. But stay above board. Because as wild as it is to say, Ballmer just went from being the ideal owner to the ultimate red flag. Look, I live in New York. I hear the Knicks hype. I hear the Brunson chants, the bing-bong nonsense, the idea that Jalen Brunson is the new king of the East because of one playoff series. And don't get me wrong, Brunson is legit. I'm not out here trying to discredit him. He's tough. He's poised. He's been a godsend for the Knicks. But you're telling me he's on Tatum's level? Be serious. Tatum has been carrying the Celtics deep into playoff runs since he was, 20? He's already got more postseason experience than most stars get in their entire careers. He's been to the finals. He's taken down juggernauts. He's done it all while guarding the best wing on the other side of the floor and still giving you 25, 30, sometimes 40 a night. Let's talk numbers for a second. You want Jokic over Tatum? Fine, I'll give you that. Jokic is a unicorn. He's doing things we've never seen before. His passing, his touch around the rim, the efficiency, it's absurd. Giannis? Sure, he's a freak for a reason. When he's healthy, he can dominate both ends of the floor in a way that feels unstoppable. But after those two, who's the clear-cut number 3? Luka? Okay, he puts up massive numbers, but are we going to pretend defense doesn't matter? Are we just ignoring that? Luka gives you 40 and then gives it right back on the other end. Tatum, meanwhile, is locking in on defense, chasing shooters, battling in the post, contesting at the rim, and still giving you elite offense. And what about durability? Tatum plays. Every year. Every month. Through injuries, through slumps, through playoff wars. He's out there. Giannis? Luka? Even Jokic takes his foot off the gas sometimes. Tatum is always available. And that matters. And people want to throw SGA into the mix now, which I get. The guy is electric. What he did with OKC this past year was unreal. But again, let's pump the brakes. SGA has had one deep playoff run. He had a phenomenal year, no doubt. But Tatum's been doing this consistently. Multiple deep playoff runs. Game 7s. Crunch time buckets. Defensive stops. He's been that guy. Not once. Not twice. But every year since he entered the league. He's still only 26. 26. We're talking about someone who's not even in his prime yet. And he's already got a resume that screams future Hall of Famer. And don't even get me started on the idea that he shrinks in big games. That narrative needs to be buried. Tatum's playoff resume is full of monster games. Clutch moments. Elimination game masterpieces. People cherry-pick the bad shooting nights, sure, but they conveniently forget he dropped 51 in a Game 7. 51. In the biggest moment of the season, he showed up and torched the Sixers. And what happened the next round? He rolled his ankle, and people held that against him like it was some sort of character flaw, like he wanted to get hurt. You try planning on a bad ankle in the first quarter of the Eastern Conference Finals and see how you shoot. That man gutted it out. He still played. He still fought. And he still gets hate for it. Make it make sense. So if we're ranking players right now, not based on hype, but on actual production, consistency, and impact, I've got Jokic 1. Giannis 2. And Tatum is right there in the next group. You want to put Luka with him? Cool. I'll hear that argument. Same with SGA. But Tatum belongs in that tier. No question. He's earned it. And the fact that he's doing it while being one of the best two-way wings in the game makes it even more impressive. He's not a one-dimensional scorer. He's not a stat patter. He's a winner. And the only reason he doesn't already have a ring is because basketball is hard and timing matters, and sometimes you run into a hot Warriors team where your ankle gives out on the first play. That's the reality. And listen, I get that Celtics fans can be hard on him. Boston doesn't exactly do patience. The standard is championships. Anything less feels like failure. But when you step back and look at what Tatum has already accomplished and where he's headed, it's time to start putting some respect on his name. He's not just the face of this franchise. He's the anchor, the foundation, the guy who will be here when the banners go up. So stop acting like he's some good but not great player. That's just lazy analysis. Watch the games. Look at the impact. You can't tell the story of the modern NBA without Jason Tatum. Period. But let's switch gears here because while the Celtics are pretty set at the top, Tatum, Brown, White, Horford, the core is in place. There's still that lingering question about the final roster spot. One more guy, one more piece, and the name that keeps coming up more and more? Josh Giddey. Now, before anyone rolls their eyes or starts listing his flaws, let's actually talk about what Giddey brings to the table and why the timing might actually be perfect for Boston to make a move down the road. First off, the basics. Giddey is 6'8". That's already intriguing. A 6'8" guard with vision, size, and feel? That's rare. And yes, he's had ups and downs. His stint in OKC ended weirdly. He got played off the floor in the playoffs. He got traded. He ended up in Chicago, where no one's really watching. And the off-court stuff, which again remains murky and mostly unresolved, definitely clouded his reputation. But here's the thing. The dude can play. And over the last stretch of the season with the Bulls, he reminded everyone why he was such a promising young talent in the first place. His last 20 games, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists per game. Let that sink in. Those are almost triple-double numbers. And it wasn't like he padded stats on a bad team. He was legitimately cooking, shooting the ball well, making plays, controlling the tempo, and maybe most importantly, the three-point shot started to fall. That was always the knock, right? Giddey can't shoot. He's a non-factor from deep. Well, now he's shooting 38%. Not elite, but solid. Respectable. Enough to stay on the floor. And when you combine that with his passing and rebounding, you got a really interesting weapon. So why does this matter for Boston? Well, he's a restricted free agent, still unsigned. The Bulls don't seem eager to hand him a big deal. The market is weird right now. Cap space is tight. Teams are hesitant. And that could open the door. Because if the Celtics sit tight, play the long game, and wait for the right opportunity, Giddey might become a real option. He's young. He fits the timeline. He brings size and playmaking. And if his shot continues to develop, he's the kind of versatile piece that could thrive in Boston's system. We're in a holding pattern right now. That weird space between summer league hype and preseason optimism. But these are the moments that define smart front offices. Not the blockbuster trades. Not the splashy signings. It's the small moves. The calculated risks. The guys you pick up when no one else is looking. That's where championships are built. In the margins. On the edges. With patience and vision. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The sports world is buzzing with one of the most unexpected developments in recent NBA history, as the Boston Celtics have reportedly completed a stunning move to acquire superstar forward Kawhi Leonard. According to sources close to the organization, the Celtics front office has been working behind the scenes for months, negotiating a deal that would bring one of the most formidable two-way players in the league to Boston. Fans and analysts alike are scrambling to process the implications of this acquisition, as Leonard, a two-time NBA Finals MVP and one of the most feared defenders in the game, could drastically alter the balance of power in the Eastern Conference. The speculation surrounding Leonard's potential destinations had been rampant for months, with rumors linking him to teams across the league, but very few expected the Celtics to emerge as the victors in this high-stakes chess match. The move has reportedly sent shockwaves through other franchises, who must now reconsider their strategies, knowing that Boston has added an elite scorer and lockdown defender capable of changing the outcome of any playoff series. Social media is ablaze with fan reactions, debates, and memes as Celtic supporters express their excitement and skeptics question how this will impact team chemistry and long-term roster construction. Analysts are already projecting a seismic shift in the league's competitive landscape, with Kawhi's arrival potentially propelling Boston into immediate championship contention. Speculation about the inner workings of the Celtics management has intensified following the announcement, with industry insiders suggesting that the team's front office may have executed a masterclass in trade negotiation to secure Leonard's signature. Reports indicate that Boston may have parted with a combination of draft picks, young talent, and veteran assets in order to convince Leonard that the franchise is committed to winning immediately. This strategic gamble reflects a bold approach rarely seen in the modern NBA, where franchises often favor slow rebuilds over high-risk, high-reward maneuvers. Sources hint that Leonard's input in the process was significant, possibly leveraging his influence to ensure that he lands in a market with championship potential and an organization he trusts. The rumors surrounding the specifics of the trade package have fueled endless speculation, with some suggesting that the Celtics' salary cap flexibility and market appeal played a pivotal role in tipping the scales in their favor. Meanwhile, basketball analysts have begun dissecting the potential rotations and lineups that could emerge with Leonard integrated alongside Boston's existing stars. Conversations among fans have turned into feverish debates, comparing past Celtics dynasties with the prospects of this newly enhanced roster. If Leonard maintains his health and delivers the performance expected of him, Boston could emerge as a dominant force capable of challenging any contender across the league. Every media outlet seems to have a different take, but the overarching consensus is that this is one of the most audacious and headline-grabbing acquisitions in recent memory, leaving the basketball community in a state of heightened anticipation and uncertainty. The arrival of Kawhi Leonard in Boston is generating ripples far beyond the confines of the Celtics locker room, with rival teams reportedly recalibrating their strategies in response to the shocking news. League executives are said to be closely monitoring the situation, aware that the Celtics roster now possesses a unique combination of defensive prowess, offensive versatility, and championship pedigree. The ripple effects extend to free agency, as players may now reconsider their plans based on the Celtics' newfound status as a perceived juggernaut. Discussions among commentators have focused on how Leonard's presence could redefine the team's identity, potentially shifting Boston from a balanced squad to a star-centric model where one player's influence dominates the narrative. Speculation about chemistry issues has emerged as well, as integrating a high-profile superstar can introduce challenges in cohesion, ball distribution, and role definition. Nevertheless, fans are largely embracing the excitement, envisioning playoff scenarios in which Leonard's signature defensive plays and clutch scoring could propel Boston deep into June. Betting markets have reportedly reacted sharply, with odds makers adjusting championship probabilities to reflect the impact of this acquisition. The conversation has also spilled into popular culture, with social media platforms and sports forums filled with memes, reaction videos, and heated debates about what Leonard's tenure in Boston might signify for the league's hierarchy. As the news continues to reverberate, it has become clear that the Celtics' move is more than a simple roster adjustment. It is a statement of intent, signaling to the entire NBA that Boston is serious about contending immediately, regardless of conventional expectations or the risks associated with such a bold maneuver. Insiders suggest that the decision to pursue Leonard may have been influenced by a confluence of timing, opportunity, and strategic foresight, with Boston identifying a rare window in which the superstar forward was potentially available and willing to join the franchise. Speculation indicates that multiple franchises expressed interest, creating a competitive environment that required rapid and decisive action by Celtics management. Behind closed doors, sources suggest that meetings were intense, with Leonard's camp meticulously weighing offers, organizational culture, and long-term aspirations. Analysts have noted that Leonard's track record of success in multiple markets, demonstrating an ability to adapt and elevate team performance, makes him an ideal candidate for a franchise hungry for immediate contention. The potential lineups have been dissected endlessly, projecting combinations of Leonard with the likes of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, which could create a dynamic offensive trio capable of stretching defenses while maintaining elite perimeter and interior defense. Pundits are now debating whether this acquisition positions Boston to challenge even the historically dominant teams out west, raising questions about matchups, coaching adjustments, and player usage in high-stakes playoff scenarios. Meanwhile, the rumor mill continues to churn with conjecture about possible additional moves to complement Leonard's arrival, whether through supplementary trades, free agent signings, or tactical shifts aimed at maximizing his impact. The narrative surrounding this development is growing ever more intricate, with every reported detail generating a cascade of analysis, opinion, and fan speculation that underscores the extraordinary magnitude of what is, without question, one of the most dramatic NBA stories of the season. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.